Hello and welcome to International Youth Day live stream about how we can help youth deal with stress. Join me for the rest of the talk today in regards to how we can help our youth cope with stress from a meditation and wellness point of view. Please like and subscribe and let's get started. My name is Paula Jane Newman and I'm the founder of Aware Meditation Inc. And I am here to help bring you some stress reduction ideas for the youth. Please make sure if your youths are watching that the parents give authorization through any of the techniques or ideas that we suggest, and as well for teens. Hey, teens and youth, make sure your parents like and subscribe to the channel. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and every view helps us get noticed. Every like helps people get out there and hear about us. And quite frankly, we've helped over 97,000 streams that we've had, as in videos have played, not live streams. That would be a lie. Haven't done that, no. We have live streams that are recorded that have wellness marathons that we did in COVID. It includes yoga, it includes gardening, it includes breathing, it includes meditation. We even have a comedy live stream that we did, comedy and wellness, for our upcoming ebook, Pain to Punchlines, stand-up comedy, a transformation superpower. And that will also involve children and our classes that we have for kids and youth about how they can express themselves in a fun and safe environment and deal with stuff as it happens. So why are we here on International Youth Day? I wanted to make sure that this channel is available not only for people who feel that they already are meditators or people who are aware of some of the other offerings we have. I want to make sure we expand to our youth and we help our youth understand how meditation and alternative wellness practices that have been scientifically proven can help you. I'd like to take this time that if you are there and you are here in our chat, please go ahead and say hello. Or if you're watching this now as it's restreaming, please put a lovely comment if you're finding this helpful. This helps us know that people are out there and we can actually bring more material and more live streams to help you. All right, the first thing I want to get to is, can children meditate? Absolutely. However, many parents, I'm going to get on you right now, many parents feel that they send the children to meditate and not them with the children. And when we're in a household that can be chaotic and full of stress, it's important that everyone in the household helps participate in a practice of meditation. And it helps even more if you do it together. Now, why is this? Well, let's say the child has some learning challenges or have been diagnosed on the spectrum, and the idea from maybe a therapist or a counselor at school has said, help them have meditation. I would turn around and say to the parent, what are you doing? I want you to meditate as well. Because children that are sensitive, children that don't necessarily are typical norm as they do it, although I think we're all lovely and wonderful. They are sensitive individuals, and they may be sensory reaction to what they can feel on a deep, deep level, what's going on with the parents. And so these children, I feel, are beautiful examples of how parents and adults, we can absolutely upgrade our consciousness by learning from them. In fact, one big element that I'm very strongly, I believe in, is that children come into this world to help us learn, to help us grow. So whatever child that you have that you're helping to nurture, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, please let's not undermine the value of aunts and uncles. In so many cultures, the aunt and uncle who doesn't have a child is looked down upon. But in reality, that favorite aunt, that favorite uncle, having a figure in the family that you can rely on, that you can trust, that isn't necessarily your parent, is so important. And I can quite frankly tell you that I am obsessed with being best auntie myself. It's ridiculous. But I'm very clear that I did not have a best auntie or an auntie that was there for me if I had any emotional questions or any thoughts or things that I wanted to express to a trusted loved one who knew me from day zero, right from the beginning, to be able to reach out and share that with, but it wasn't my parent. Often information when we are parents becomes very stressful. And we're very concerned about the results, and we want the child just to be okay. And then we're concerned about how we're doing the next day and the job and blah, 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 blah. The aunts and the uncles provide this wonderful safe space, this wonderful place where children are able to thrive and have fun with a trusting adult. And should anything ever happen to the parents, knowing that they already have a relative that they can trust that is there for them, it's very important. So that's my first talk about the parents. Now let's get to how we can help the youth. We're going to go start with the younger children, and then we'll go up to the teens. When it comes to children, some of them are hyperactive, or when they're younger, or the emotions are very high. I feel it's very important that they have their own safe space to self-regulate, right? Not be sent to the corner because they've done something wrong, but be told, hey, let's go get some time to ourselves so we can reflect on this, right? And meditation, it's really a form of medication, right? Can be given to you in forms that are eyes open, right? But whatever form of meditation the child is doing, I suggest the parent does as well. So everyone is on the same wavelength, the same journey. Not everyone has to sit and cross their legs. In fact, the meditation practice that I advocate for, Vedic meditation, children do it with their eyes closed. They don't sit and cross their legs. They can't sit for that long. It's too much. And they have all these thoughts. And what's happening most of the time is that the youth believe they have to follow the adult's rule of meditation. And it's just not true, right? There's a different physiology. There are different things going on. I have raised a child and they learned to meditate when they were 6 years old. They were my first student and I would say my poster child really for meditation, because they're 23 now and they're still meditating. They're my stepchild. They are my soul baby. This person was in my life to help me grow, and I believe to help them grow. I am looked upon as a coach, but I am the woman that was in their life every day, taking them to school and raising them. This child would do a form of meditation, either often on the way to school in the car. They would often do it if they were coloring. They could do it while they were maybe brushing their teeth in the morning. A very simple meditation that was related to their age. When the child would come home from school, they were exhausted. Now, we had not gotten a diagnosis of ADHD at the time. The child is now adult autism spectrum. None of this was there, or we were aware of it, or could afford the testing when we were raising the child. So when it came to the afternoon and the child did their meditation, they fell asleep after it for about an hour or so. And all I can say is, what a nightmare it would have been if that child didn't have that meditation to be able to have that deep rest. They would have not been able to concentrate at school as much as they could. They would not have been able to interact with individuals, and they were able to do this without medication. Now, I'm not here to be a doctor and tell you what you can and cannot do, but I do advocate for everyone to investigate, how do we help the stress of the child? And when somebody is getting a deep breath like that after meditation, it means their body is fatigued from the stress of being in school all day. It is hard on their nervous system. I personally am neurodivergent. I have dyslexia. I had a really hard time at school. And this individual was, even though it was more of an alternative school, trying to deal with this. This is very hard. I did not have a practice of meditation, but I did create a self-regulating practice where I would actually go lie down and put my legs up on the chair after school and just have a little bit of like a power nap, as it were. This, as it turns out, is very, very similar to meditation. And I can remember myself at 19 years old doing this, regulating myself like this. And I knew I needed something. The children can start to meditate at a very young age, and it does not have to be a strict practice of crossing their legs and sitting like that. No, not at all. So I encourage you, find a practice and maybe change the idea of what the word meditation is. People have an idea. My nephew would say, I can meditate, Auntie Paula, and sit like this cross-legged. And I'm thinking, well, I don't even do that. You watch me and you know that I don't do that. But there is this idea of meditation, right? My niece, who is now just turned 10 years old, was unable to be here, but originally was going to be here to join me and join you with this, sat and told me explicitly why they have a hard time meditating. And the majority of the reason that I could figure out is because they have an idea of what they feel they're supposed to be doing. and the fact that they have so many thoughts going on in their brains. Yes, the idea that you're not supposed to be having thoughts in meditation has to be thrown out the window. With all practices in meditation, they simply say, if you have a thought, let it move through. Be friends with the thought. They don't tell you that you can't have thoughts. This is an old idea that somehow has managed to percolate through everyone when it comes to meditation, that this is what you're supposed to do. No, not at all. So if there's anything you can gain from this talk today, if you're a parent of a youth or an aunt, an uncle, or, a mentor, is meditation does not have to be a practice where you concentrate and where you have to get rid of all your thoughts. Absolutely not, right? Meditation is boring. That's what I would get. Well, yes, if you're a kid that's 8 years old, for doing it more than 8 minutes, I could see how it could be very boring. So please don't make the children do it any longer than they have to. Combining a yoga gentle stretch exercise program, then the meditation at the end, almost like they're relaxing down in Shavasana. Sorry, I forgot the name for it. That can be very beneficial. But I'd say do this with the family and everyone has a rest time together. This can be very helpful. The other aspect we want to talk about how to deal with stress is when it comes to friends, right? Friends and school. And all parents know you're dealing with friends and school, and you're dealing with the friends' parents as well. Even if you never meet them, the parents of those children are absolutely influencing how those children behave. And you can only go so far. You can only keep, as we say, your side of the street clean when this happens. Therefore, what I would suggest is we learn for the child to go in and you reflect about a situation that happened and ask the child. And the child, you can ask yourself, what did I really want in this situation that I got rejected from? Because 9 times out of 10, when something happens that we're hurt and wounded, it was in some form of rejection. Now, we have, as it goes to the millennials, we have a whole ideology. Sorry, I'm just looking over here. Hello, those who are here on call, please say hello. Nice to see you. Hi. I lost my train of thought. Rejection. Okay, it's gone. If somebody wants to write into the chat what I was saying, I would really appreciate it. All right, so sitting down with a child, the rejection, some form or anything, we are feeling rejected. And it is this rejection that we have to process. I remember where I was at. We were talking about the example of we had a whole generation where you were given prizes for participating to avoid this rejection. And I feel that a lot of it came from the older Gen Xers who very much were the first generation of divorced parents, both parents working on their own, and there was a lot of pressure on everyone in the household. And so there was a lot of pressure within of hierarchy of where do we find love? Who are we? And that means people try to make themselves feel better than other people so they can feel good about themselves. So when they had children, they wanted to make sure they had children who were nurtured and loved, that to get up and try was important. Participate is important. What happened as a result is we have a lot of people who never went through rejection and getting used to rejection and bringing that thick skin. That there is a generation of people that didn't have that thick skin and then has a habit of now cutting people off, right? I don't like what you're saying to me. Rather than me have a conversation about it and face it, I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to block you or ghost you. This is within the consciousness. So rejection has often been held at bay. So what we can do with Generation A is start to have a conversation about how it made them feel when they were rejected. And that means the parents then open about, yes, I was rejected today because I offered my boss, let me get you a cup of coffee. And they said, no, I don't want one. And then Sarah came up and said, oh yeah, I'm going to go to this coffee place. Shall I get you your latte? Yeah, that'd be great. That kind of rejection and sharing that maybe with your child, like I felt rejected from my boss. I was trying to impress them. And then this came back on me badly. And understanding that we all feel rejection on certain levels. And that way children can relate, oh, wow, you experience it too. Usually around the age 10, children start to get to a place where they realize, oh, my parents aren't these people that I thought they were. My parents are just regular people. One of my favorite films of all time is About a Boy. And I think it very well depicts the coming of age of a 10-year-old boy in England and how he realizes what his mother is going through, what this other person is going through, and him dealing with school. I highly encourage you to watch it. Conversations about rejection, right? Conversations about why meditation isn't working. The next level is the sense of accomplishment. The sense of accomplishment and rewards, which are set in most school systems, are designed there as we are the predator eyes, we are wanting to have the pat on the head. And that's very important to have that pat on the head, to encourage that, and also encourage the conversation about it and having an open conversation with the children. And that means talking about stress. So how do people deal with stress? The kids are watching how the parents deal with stress. If they feel the parents aren't dealing with stress well and they meditate, they're not going to want to meditate. Know that. So then you have to take meditation off a pedestal as well and be clear with them that meditation is a tool to help you regulate your nervous system. If we get down to what we're really doing, regulating the nervous system, that will change everything. If we're having a conversation to help regulate the nervous system, as long as we don't end up becoming people saying, I've just got to go regulate my nervous system and cutting off. No, because we want to be present in the world and deal with situations where we can say, oh yeah, our nervous system is feeling deregulated right now, but I've still got to be in this office meeting. Let me be able to take a few deep breaths and focus. Social media. I can tell you that I have a niece who is on and off of social media because it causes so much stress as a teen. What's important here is that the validity of a person, of who they are, is beyond grades, is beyond body shape, is beyond validation from someone, and knowing that they're not alone. I have a niece who went through a breakup, and then I was able to relate to that niece. When I was at that age, I had a breakup, and yeah, they completely dumped on me, and they cheated on me with someone, and blah, 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 with their ex. And, you know, my niece was able to open up and say, oh my gosh, that's awful. I think I would just, you know, die crying. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. But I'm here living and I've survived. And yeah, I don't put up with that. Never have, never will. And the emotions that I went through, that I stopped eating, I have stretch marks as a result of not eating because of that rejection. Did I have a parent who was concerned? Absolutely. However, you know, I wasn't in a habit from growing up about talking and sharing my feelings about these things. So when I did have a parent say, hey, do you want to talk about it? My teenage brain was like, where were you all the other times? I'm not ready. And that's why it's important when parents do want to start to talk, to be able to say, hi, you know what? We've never talked like this before, but I'm open to do that. Teenagers were going through the social pressures, reminding them and helping them create events and hobbies or practices that elevate their self-worth. And the biggest way that they can do that to cope with stress, I'm going to tell you honestly, is helping others. Get teens involved in community service, helping other people, maybe less fortunate, even if it's with the elderly, but get them doing stuff outside of their own heads, right? Then there will be a gratitude that they will not expect and have a self-worth. Now, when I raised a kid, I will tell you, at 10 years old, there was a leadership program at the school that I had them go to the Boys and Girls Club and go back and create a speaker program during their week break and invite speakers to come and speak as part of their program. The director of the Boys and Girls Club couldn't believe that a 10-year-old would want to do that. And as shy and unbelievably shy as this child was and not wanting to go, they made the child stand up and said, on the last day, you're giving a speech. And they completely almost fell into the ground. They couldn't do it. And really was like, why do you do these things, Mom? But most of the kids who were there, she was like, oh, I remember some of them. They were so enthralled to see this person who was 10 years old, not much older than them, come back to their Boys and Girls Club and say, hey, we've brought today the animator from, oh, I can't remember what it was one of the Nickelodeon shows. And they looked up to her. And it was important that no matter what age you are, even if you're 10 years old, you can create community service and help others, and they can look up to you, and it brings a sense of self-esteem. I cannot tell you how much I would impress on teens to start to be mentors for those who are pre-teens in an activity that's, guided with, professionals in that field. But this can help to know that you can help another person and know that that person can say, hey, you know what, big sis, as in a big sister idea, you've really helped me. That brings self-worth. That brings value. That is beyond social media likes. That is beyond what their body shape is. And that is beyond their grades. Because ultimate who we are is more than school, is more than our body shape, right? It is more than our bank account. And if we start training the youth when they're younger, that their validity of who they are is more than that and not just an extracurriculum practice, they will nurture that and carry that. So you have a bad day, you were rejected by someone you liked. They're not going to fall into the same deep well that teens often can do over heartbreak and then obsessively start scrolling, all the things that adults do, but they do it in a more intense way. Now, teens are wired that they're going to sleep in late and they're going to be up late. Many high schools now start school at least one day a week later because they're aware of this. This is a physiological fact. So we have to learn that this is how they're more likely to be the night owls, which means if you are a parent or someone taking care of a youth, you're going to be dead tired all day and then just waking up. All right, remember 10:30, let's get started, right? Let's go out, let's party. Can we make it till sunrise? That's how I used to think. Physiologically, that's how my body was. And yes, I did all kinds of crazy things when I was a teenager. I gave my poor mom a heart attack, right? Now that they're on social media, now that they're on YouTube, I hope you're watching this on YouTube at 11 o'clock at night, teens. I hope you're watching this to find ways to have your self-worth not be purely based on grades, on approval and social media, or what you look like. Help someone else. What do you like as a hobby? If you like soccer and you're on the team, maybe you can do an external activity, mentor at a Boys and Girls Club, a soccer thing for young children. Whether it's only once a semester, do something to help someone else who then will look up to you because of what you can be and who you are, not because of the external influences. The stress of social media, one way to help reduce the stress is to cut it off and only have certain hours. But as a teen, it's getting harder and harder because your school assignments are done online. You need to be able to access certain things. It's not the same as it used to be. You can't just cut it off at a certain time. And let's face it, if you're a teenager and some adults, we are going to hit the deadline right up to the deadline. So we're going to be up. If it needs to be handed in at midnight, we're going to be dialing in at 11:30 to finish the assignment. To think anything else is insane. However, you can, as parents, or even if you're teens watching this, coach yourself to be like, you know what? I don't want to be that person anymore. So if this task takes me an hour, why don't you start it at 10 o'clock at night rather than 11 o'clock at night? Things like this to cheat how you can help yourself, and then give yourself some rewards that you might just very small goals. We had one, like you have a jar. You have like cotton, you put cotton on the outside, you put a marble in, like, yes, you know what, I did that assignment and I handed it in an hour on time. And then you can see the satisfaction of the goals that you actually achieved that you want to achieve. Now, let's look at the things where the parents are getting at you as teens and it's stressful dealing with your parents, right? I can tell you, I was raised by a single mom. There was no meditation in the world that we were doing at the time. Everyone started to decompartmentalize stress. And I will absolutely say that my mother's decompartmentalization was she'd come home, she'd take her shoes off, she'd sit down and she'd open up a bottle of wine, right? Very, very common. What I didn't do was I had my own regulation because she was so stressed as a single mom. I didn't really feel there was much space because I didn't want to deal with her reaction. Right now, one of the things I would say on occasion was, Mom, why'd you react that way? And my mom was not in a place or had the training to be able to say, what way? What are you talking about? Right now, I used to do this one reaction with my child that I raised, and they would do something when learning. And this is before we understood they had these learning problems. And I would go like this. They would get upset with the fact that I was actually massaging the pineal gland here to help reduce stress. And I didn't say anything, but they would get very upset that I was doing this movement. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh, don't do that thing. Don't sigh. And I was like, I'm sighing or doing this so I don't yell at you, so I can try and think about something, right? If there was a healthier way that we could have done it, we're not perfect at it. In fact, the best answer we would say is like, has everyone meditated? Because then sometimes we would need to move forward. And at the time, I didn't realize what was going on with this child until we got them tested later in the teen years, that I was actually having to really pull them along to be able to keep up with school because they were so fatigued and what was happening. It all got resolved then in the end. I will let you know. And they're doing fine now. They're doing fabulous now. Teens, how do you cope with your parents? Teens, you might have to be the more evolved, and youth too, more evolved with parents and your teachers when things come up and you don't think things are right. Have your logic, have your answers there written down logically, your pros and your cons to you, whatever you're going to present. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you have this there presented, it means that you're going to be more logical and less likely to be emotional. And when we get emotional, we get stressed. And the more stress that we have, the more depleted we become. Start to reach the parents on a logical plane that they're at, sorry. If you start to meet them there, they can't help but back up and say, this is happening. All right. This is how we regulate stress. All right. I'm now going to show you at the end of this talk another way to help relieve stress, which you can do in your own room without realizing it. The most important way to regulate the nervous system is to go from the fight or flight to the relaxation state, the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. And the best way to do this is through breathing. All right. So we're going to breathe through our nose, and we're going to exhale through our left nostril, then inhale through our left nostril, and then hold the breath, and then exhale longer through the right nostril. It's very important that we inhale and exhale with a shorter breath inhale and a longer exhalation. All right, we'll be like this. Inhale through the left nostril, hold, and then exhale longer through the right nostril. Why is this important? Let me tell you. Now, lung capacity is in 3 stages. We have those that we regulate, and then deep down here, the reason why doctors want you to exercise, right, is we start to use what we call the stale oxygenation down here. So when you exhale longer, we're using that deeper part of the lung, right? You see, I didn't get up and I didn't exercise, right? Inhale, hold, and then exhale longer. This helps regulate the nervous system. Okay. Breathing is simple. Another way to do it that's really fun, and I am a trained laughter yoga teacher, is to laugh, right? So you don't have to laugh based on jokes and comedy. In fact, the Laughter Yoga Institute has done studies where they found that the benefits of laughter for the body are the same whether you're laughing at something you find funny or you manufacture it. And in order to sustain physical change for your health, you have to laugh between 10 to 15 minutes a day. And that doesn't mean all the time in one go. That's actually quite hard. And you have to do it from the belly. You have to do this deep breathing. All right. So let's go through it. Let's manufacture some laughing. And you'll start to realize when you do the deep breathing, You're actually doing it as if you exercise. In fact, laughter yoga is an exercise program. It's not a comedy or joke program. All right. So for a moment, we'll just take a breath in and then we'll laugh. Now here, sorry, I've definitely taken breaths in or not. But there was a point during this that I realized this is so silly that I'm laughing. And I know that there are some people there, but they've not identified myself. But technically, I could be in this room with the lights on, just laughing for no reason at myself, right? So let's do it again and take a breath in and see how long you can laugh on one single breath and see if the laugh can be longer than the inhalation. Ready? Why did I do a big deep breath there? Because I'm actually using my body. I'm using my body, my respiratory system, to the belly to actually have these laughters. I'm going from fight or flight to the relaxation state simply by laughing. Now, this can be done. You don't have to be it that loud. And if you're curious about wanting to know more, you can reach out to info@awaremeditation.com and we talk about our laughter labs that we're just beginning to happen. And this way it's guided by a teacher. You're in a space, you're part of a workshop. So, you don't get, taken up for laughing too loud. But this can help you change your life and your physiology if you do this 15 minutes per day, right? So, stress for teens, for the youth. Everyone is stressed. If you have any questions, please let me know. But I want to wrap this up with, yes, please do find a form of meditation. Do find a space where they can regulate. And you as an adult, you can regulate. Do start to talk about rejection, right? The rejection element, we all have it. Or look at your own places where you feel rejected by the child. You just cooked this lovely meal and they're like, oh, I don't like that. I feel rejected. I just spent this, I cooked it, you said you liked it, but now you feel that you don't like it. And you're upset because you think I cooked something that you didn't want and I didn't hear you. And it does cost money. Can we come to a compromise? Even if they don't accept it, they're being talked rationally. They're being talked about an instance that happened without them being condemned or feel that they can't speak their truth. And finally, find goals for the kids. Like we said, put a marble in. If you start regulating, don't put your assignments in too late. Understand that if they're teens, they're going to be up late and they're going to sleep late. This is part of their physiology. Give them a break with this and work around it. And do what you can to encourage them that they are more than social media likes, popularity at school. They're more than grades, and they're more than fodder to go to a college. Help them do philanthropic measures where they can be of service and help other people and put them in a mentor situation. It's not just their younger siblings, right? Or their younger cousins. Help them be in a nurturing place where they can find their identity outside of the home and they can help others. And then there's laughter. Laughter can heal everything. And if you don't want to join the laughter clubs that we have or know what we're doing, find a funny family movie that everyone enjoys and they can laugh at. With that, I want to say thank you so much. We're here at Aware Meditation. Please reach out to us if there are more live streams that you'd like us to do. We're here to help support. And over 97,000 views have happened thus far of helping people. The reason why we're on YouTube doing this is so we can help reach out to people who are in rural areas. And of course, if you saw the live stream, why not, if it comes to laughter, go to our live stream of Pain to Punchlines. It's going to be our theme as our new ebook is coming out called Pain to Punchlines, Stand-Up Comedy, A Transformation Superpower. And we're very delighted because we just got endorsed by Margaret Cho, who is doing a quote for us for the book as she feels so passionate about how we're teaching stand-up comedy for healing. With that, I want to thank you so much for being here. And please don't be a stranger. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to our newsletter. And I hope that we have helped in some way and made your day brighter.